Israeli parliament, known as the Knesset, has also been a bit of a conflict zone these days. In the line of fire is the Prime Minister himself. Benjamin Netanyahu is being slammed for agreeing to a ceasefire with Hamas, but he sure has the proverbial 9 lives. Today, his coalition partner and Education Minister Naftali Bennett said that he will not quit the government despite sharp disagreements. This has potentially ended the crisis, but not without a public reprimand of the Prime Minister.
כבר שנים לא מועטות, כולל בעשור האחרון של הממשלות בראשות נתניהו, שמדינת ישראל הפסיקה לנצח. חמאס וחיזבאללה חצופים יותר מיום ליום, כי הם מאמינים שאנחנו חוששים להתעמת איתם. מה שראש הממשלה מכנה אחריות, מתפרש על ידי אויבינו לעתים כהססנות.
Netanyahu has been holding a series of meetings to keep the coalition, all the while maintaining that Israel's security hinges on his government's survival.
אנחנו בתוך מערכה שעדיין לא הסתיימה. ובתקופה ביטחונית רגישה כזאת, זה חוסר אחריות להפיל את הממשלה. בין אם שותפינו יחליטו להפיל את הממשלה ובין אם לאו, אנחנו נמשיך לפעול כדי להבטיח את ביטחון המדינה שלנו וביטחון אזרחינו. נעשה זאת בשום שכל, באחריות ובנחישות. אני סומך על צה"ל.
The Prime Minister is now the country's defense and foreign minister too. His party Likud has 30 seats in the ruling coalition of 61. That's borderline majority in a House of 120. The exit of any partner will spell doom for Netanyahu's government. The next election is slated for November 2019. And we have some breaking news coming in. The battle between Donald Trump and CNN has escalated. The White House has issued a fresh warning to Jim Acosta, saying that his press pass can be revoked once again by the end of this month. This comes after the U.S. District Court had ordered Trump to return Acosta's press pass. CNN has now moved the same court for an emergency hearing. Joining us is Kate Fisher, Wion's correspondent from Washington, D.C. Kate, what happened? What's the trigger for this fresh escalation?
Well, I think really the White House has never given up on its battle with Jim Acosta and CNN, and many observers see this letter from the White House saying that they will once again revoke Jim Acosta's hard pass, that press pass for access to the White House, once this temporary 14-day pause in that has come to an end. The reason many observers saying that they're doing this, they're writing letters to the court to warn of this, is so that they say that there is a paper trail built up to show that the White House is not happy with this and intends to once again revoke his pass. That is why CNN has reacted so strongly, saying that they want to have an emergency court hearing today here in Washington, Monday afternoon. That's what they're calling for, because they want to get this sorted out, and they say they want to have a fair hearing of this. I understand that over the weekend there have been legal toing and froing between both sides on this argument, and it has ended up with this: the White House saying that they will once again revoke Jim Acosta's press pass at the end of this 14-day period that a judge has said his pass has to be reinstated for. The White House saying once that's up, they'll take it away again. CNN saying no, we need to have another hearing about this because that shouldn't happen. So yeah, the stakes once again are high.
So just to make it clear for our viewers, CNN has asked for an emergency hearing. There's no guarantee that they will get the court's time. That is point number one. Point number two, the pass is not being revoked immediately. They'll wait for that 14-day period. And three, this order to restore access to Jim Acosta was in any case a temporary one. The case is still on in the very same court.
Yes, absolutely. You're right on all those points. It is still a temporary one. It was only for 14 days. CNN saying that it is violates their constitutional rights and Jim Acosta's constitutional rights to withdraw this press pass from him. The White House saying that they have the right to withdraw it because they say that Jim Acosta violated their rules for press conferences. CNN saying, well, where are these rules? There are no written rules for this. The White House saying, well, they're not written down, but they are just general rules of conduct, and each reporter should only have one question unless they are told they can ask a follow-up question. CNN saying, well, hang on, that's not written down anywhere. So now the White House says, and President Trump, in fact, during an interview on Fox News, said that they are now writing a set of rules for journalists. But CNN saying this is a retroactive move and these rules weren't published anywhere in the beginning. And they also maintained that their reporter did nothing wrong. He was merely trying to get an answer out of the president. So both sides arguing their point very, very determinedly, and that is why it has got to a court of law for the judge there to decide. He decided to give a 14-day reprieve to Jim Acosta. Now the White House saying that they will come back really strongly at the end of that reprieve, and that is why CNN is trying to get this emergency hearing to try to sort it all out before the end of that 14-day period.
Sure. Kate Fisher, thanks very much for joining us. This looks like it's going to go down to the wire, and we'll track the story, of course, with you. For the moment, let's shift focus to what's happening in India's neighbourhood. While Sri Lanka plunges deeper into political chaos, the season of political stability has finally returned to the Maldives. In fact, Delhi breathed a sigh of relief when Ibrahim Soli was finally sworn in as the president. And now India has more reasons to cheer. Recent developments proving that the once strained ties between India and its southern neighbour are back on track. Wion Siddhant reports.
On Saturday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the swearing-in ceremony of Mohammad Ibrahim Soli. The warm hug was the beginning of resetting of ties between the two countries. In his first address as the new president, Soli called for strengthening ties with India. Soli has committed to fortify the existing ties that the Maldives has had with India. And the first signs were visible within 24 hours after the new president took charge. Speaking exclusively to Wion, the new defense minister of Maldives confirmed that they will not return the 2 Indian helicopters gifted by New Delhi. Maria Didi said, and I quote, "It's not in our culture to ask neighbors to take back what they give. The helicopters can be put to good use for medical evacuations and for search and rescue." Unquote. New Delhi gifted the choppers to Maldives in 2013, one of which is deployed in the Indian Ocean nation's southernmost island of Adu and the other in the strategically located Lamu.
The big Wion exclusive is being discussed and talked about both in Maldives and in India. The Maldivian media has picked up the big story and it's being talked about in Delhi's power circle also. Remember, the new Maldivian defense minister, Maria Didi, the female defense minister of Maldives, India also has a female defense minister, had spoken exclusively to Wion and had said that Maldives won't be giving back the 2 helicopters which India had gifted in 2013.
Under the previous Abdullah Yamin regime, Maldives had asked India to take back the helicopters. Maldives' former ambassador to India was quoted saying they didn't need India's choppers anymore, and that Maldives was in a position to handle medical evacuations on their own. The move to retain the 2 choppers is symbolic to the strategic shift in Maldives. Yamin had junked the India First policy and had increasingly aligned himself to China. But that is slowly changing. Maldives is going to follow the India First policy now. While in exile, former president and a close confidant of the new president, Mohammad Nasheed, had told Wion that China was behind Maldives returning the helicopters. The tide is changing in Maldives. The Indian Prime Minister was the only head of state invited for the presidential oath-taking ceremony. And with the dawn of a new regime, India hopes to see a renewed relationship with Maldives. With Siddhant Sibbal, Digvijay Singh, World is One.
On October the 2nd, Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. A 15-member hit squad from Riyadh killed this journalist. For the last 1 month, several versions of the story have come to the fore, but one thing has remained constant. US President Donald Trump's support for the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. No matter how much proof presents itself on the Saudi Arabian involvement, Trump's faith in the Crown Prince does not waver.
A president and a businessman. One who wears his self-professed deal-making skills on his sleeve. And isn't the best example of putting national interest above personal. For US President Donald Trump, the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi presents a personal dilemma. Saving American values and the greatness he's promised to restore, versus saving a multi-billion-dollar arms deal he struck with his royal friends. When America's premier investigating agency, the CIA, named the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as the mastermind of the killing, Trump was quick to come to his defense and rubbish reports indicting him.
It should never have happened, and we'll be having a very full report over the next 2 days, probably Monday or Tuesday. We're going to have a very full report.
Did the CIA assess that MBS was behind it?
They haven't assessed anything yet. It's too early. That was a very premature report, but that's possible. We're going to see, but we're going to have a report on Tuesday, and it'll be very complete. In the meantime, we're doing things to some people that we know for a fact were involved, and we're being very tough on a lot of people.
What's this report on Tuesday?
We're going to come up with a report as to what we think the overall impact was and who caused it and who did it. We're talking about a killing. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about a killing. So who did it?
Who did it, he asks, and in the same breath says it wasn't the Crown Prince, publicly challenging the findings of his own agency's report. Trump not only called the CIA's report premature, he chose not to listen to the Khashoggi tape where his final moments were recorded. For Trump, it's a tape of, quote-unquote, suffering.
Because it's a suffering tape. It's a terrible tape. I've been fully briefed on it. There's no reason for me to hear it. In fact, I said to the people, should I? They said, you really shouldn't. There's no reason. I know everything that went on the tape without having to.
And what happened?
It was very violent, very vicious, and terrible.
His critics say it's a tactic to avoid the truth. So why is Trump so keen on saving the Saudis? A $450 billion defense and strategic deal? 1 million jobs that Trump claims come from the Saudi investment? The Yemen war, or just a geopolitical alliance?
With that being said, Saudi Arabia has been a very important ally.
We have $450 billion, $110 billion of which is a military order.
They give us a lot of jobs, they give us a lot of business, a lot of economic development.
Whatever be his motivations, his pattern is unmistakable, putting the individual, in this case his own self, over institutions. From undermining the credibility of the FBI in the Russia probe to tarnishing the media as propaganda and fake news factories. Donald Trump as president has systematically discredited American institutions. The CIA may be the latest on his list. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.